So, but it just means semi-closed. My mouth is semi-closed, and this straw is going to create a back pressure. Singing is constantly pushing this way, right? So this is creating a back pressure to create more balanced vocal fold production, and make it easier to sing, in simplest terms, okay? So what we're going to do is, your mom probably always told you don't blow bubbles in your milk, but here we are, and we're going to blow bubbles, and what you're going to do is go about an inch in the water, into the water. Some people, I guess these are little guys, but into the water. And what you're going to do is you're going to do a siren, but we're only going to stay in our low register, so this is relative to where your low register is. And the goal is consistent bubbles. So it'll be like this. All right, so we're in an ooh, try it. Bubbles consistent.
Funny.
It is. And notice what it feels like on your voice as you do it. Good. Okay, what does it feel like, other than weird?
Like a vibrator.
Okay?
To me, it sounds like a boat.
What does it feel like on the voice? Does it feel hard? Does it feel easy? Does it feel smooth?
Smooth.
Smooth?
I'm going to say it applies a little bit of pressure.
What is it?
It applies a little bit of pressure.
Okay, a little bit of pressure this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, if you go closer to the top of the water and do the same thing, notice how it feels. Try. Is it easier or harder?
Easier.
Easier. Okay. How many of you felt like that was easier vocally for you? Not necessarily, yes, there's less back pressure, but which one did you feel like you got the best buzz or resonance, or it felt mostly balanced? Was it the first one or the second one?
Second one.
There's no wrong answer. That's why it's individualized, because depending on what muscles you use, if you usually sing in your head voice, you might not have as much vocal power because you don't usually go chestier. Or if you are naturally a chestier singer, you might need more back pressure to offset how the voice is. There's no wrong answer. It doesn't make you weak or whatever. It's like when we go to the gym, you might start at 10 pounds and I might start at 20. But it doesn't make our muscles bad. It just means our muscles are at different spots. So, and we can keep developing those. So based on whatever level you feel comfortable with, whether it was closer to or an inch down, go to that level, and now we're adding mid-range. Try. You're adding mid-range.
Oh, I'm already adding it. We're going.
Consistent bubbles. And ladies, I'd like you to go up right past where you want to flip into head voice. So you hear that chest voice is where you speak. And usually if you go ooh, you hear that little yodel. I want you to go right above that yodel so that it goes ooh. And you'll eventually lose the yodel. Okay, all right, what does that feel like? Does it still feel pretty easy? Like, okay, what if I told you that that's what it should feel like to sing?
Makes sense.
As easy as it is to blow bubbles through the water, it is teaching you, one, how much breath. Notice no one, and I didn't say take a full breath. No one went, we took a normal sized breath that we would take on our normal day, and we were able to sing longer than we probably thought we were able to sing. We didn't feel like we were running out of breath or have at the end or at the end. And then we also get a good balanced sound without all that extra pressure of singing. So this is teaching the body how much breath you really need to sing. It's teaching you not to overbreathe, because overbreathing is what we were all taught in choir, to take a full breath, and you don't need that. In most worship songs, you're singing like 4 words. You're singing a couple of words and then you lift, and then you sing another word, and then you lift, and then da-da-da. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, it's like, no. I don't need a full breath for 10 seconds. In choir, you were singing 4-bar phrases and the tempo was slow. So yes, of course you're gonna need more air. But teaching that has actually become one of the most harmful things that I have to debunk or undo in the studio, is low tongue from trying to sound like we're in choir, but that's not actually choral singing. Low tongue and over breathing are like 2 of the main things that come from like all generations, because we all went through choir, that they all told us to do this and put your hands here and breathe in and big belly, and it's awful, okay? So this is teaching you how to do vocal efficiency well, that you don't actually need more breath, but it's also teaching you how to release your breath if you're a person who constricts and doesn't let the air out while you sing. That is how I got my injury, is because I would just push it out and I wouldn't be using air. It's like trying to drive a car without fuel. It's not necessarily the best, and it doesn't feel good, and it doesn't sound good. Kind of sounds like you're using the restroom. Like, the whole time you're singing, it's kind of like this. It doesn't sound good, so we have to stop doing that. And it's essentially like smacking your vocal folds together, and so they're not actually flowing. It's like they're just smacking, which is how you get the callus, which is the injury, the nodules, the polyps, etc. It's just like a callus on your vocal folds. So, straw phonation is really, really, really important. Let's do the full register now. You're going to go your low note all the way to high note. You are trying to feel a nice, gentle stretch. Don't go, if you are going past the stretch and it's not feeling great, don't go there. Stretch, consistent bubbles top to bottom. Go ahead and try.
Sorry, looking at me weird.
Okay, how many of you noticed whether or not your bubbles were getting faster or slower? How many of you felt like your bubbles were consistent?
Mine was getting faster.
Getting faster?
Yeah.
Mine are like
Ish. Yeah, and they're gonna get maybe a little bit faster because the velocity of the breath is moving faster, and we're using less quantity. However, we want to try to keep the consistency. That's the goal. Okay. So notice how easy and free the voice feels. That's what it should feel like when you sing. Okay. As we change in the studio, depending on your level and what you're working on, if you're working on something more belty, more powerhouse, more beltsy, that is going to require a different size straw. But for today, this is what you can do. Your warm-up would include, and this goes into warm-up. Your warm-up on a Sunday morning would look like steaming. If you pair steaming with straw phonation, unlock Beyonce. It literally, like, it is, yes, it's like the Holy Spirit touched your vocal folds. It is, because it's carrying for that well. So you get them hydrated, and then you give good efficiency here. And then while you're there, you can sip some water. So then you're doing hydration all at the same time. This warm-up is under 10 minutes. So the steaming part is usually about 15 to 20 minutes. But then the warm-up you can do anytime, and it's 2 to 3 minutes in low register. Slow and steady wins the race. No one stretches at the gym like, they're like, no cool, right? And so you have to think, we can't be like, so watch for that. And then 2 to 3 minutes add mid register, 2 to 3 minutes add full register. And in under 10 minutes, you have stretched your vocal folds beautifully. And they're ready for a workout.
So I can sing like Beyonce on Sunday morning?
Yes, of course.
Give me a mic.
I think there's a little bit more to it, but yes, like it'll feel stable, it'll feel reset.
Oh, good Lord.
Now, for funsies, let's switch to the boba straw. This is your cool down straw. So that is your warm up and exercise straw. That's a regular straw, and here's your boba straw. If you have a Stanley cup, your Stanleys are more like a boba straw. So you do not want to do, I'm not saying you can't warm up on them, they're just they're a different type of consistency. All right, let's pretend that we have gotten done with a really amazing church worship rehearsal like you are about to be. And your voice is super tired because you've been working it out. You're tired, you're fatigued, or after a long service. Everyone's gonna go here and you're gonna do low and mid only. Everyone try? Adjust the height of your straw based on what you need for it to feel the best. Work your way to your low notes only. Okay. How does your voice feel? You might have to talk or say like, hi, my name is, or something in order to feel it. Does it feel more released, more relaxed? The
Yeah.
bigger the bubbles, the better. And then obviously, even when you're fatigued, a lot of times people, they say, I'm going on vocal rest, I'm going on vocal rest. But even when you're injured, they don't recommend vocal rest anymore. Just the same way that you have knee surgery, they want you to move your knee every day. So it's like, I could just not move my knee for 6 weeks, but is that gonna help me? So it's the same idea, do light vocalizations. This takes some of the pressure off. The smaller the straw, the more of the workout. So, and more of the back pressure. So this is really nice at the end of the day. You turn your TV really loud so you can't even hear it, and then do you know, and end there. That's a good way to end your day or your rehearsals once you get home. It's a great thing too. It also helps settle the mind, especially if some people struggle with anxiety. Straw phonation really helps them because it gets that consistent vibration that helps release some anxiety there. So that can be before service or even at the end of the evening to kind of settle down a little bit. Okay, that's why people like in meditation, they go home. It's those low vibrations, right? Depending on how you view meditation. I don't meditate, but I know that that's why they do that. Okay. Boundaries and modifications. If you don't need to belt the note super high in rehearsal, don't do it, but it doesn't mean sing less. It doesn't mean undersing. The goal in your rehearsals should always be to sing balanced. So exactly what it feels like here, if it doesn't feel easy and you're not feeling ease, whispering is just as bad as yelling. Whispering is pushing a bunch of air through the vocal folds. They're not getting fully closed. It dries them out quicker. They're not getting full closure, and it's like we're trying to push to get that out. Yelling, we're pushing, but the vocal folds are really dense and really thick. So it's like when we come to rehearsal, it's really important to like fight for what feels good in life. Make sense? Okay, any questions on vocal health?
I have a question about the steaming. Will that help like your sinuses? Every Sunday morning, myself and sometimes others of us, for like we're coughing, the sinuses are draining, looking for cough drops, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh my gosh, why? Our
Yes.
noses are running.
Yeah, so the My Pure Mist one that you'll see, it was actually created for people with allergies because it was a finer mist and it would help break up all the mucus production and such in the nose and in the mouth. So what I would recommend is in my cedar, I would usually put a drop of lavender oil and peppermint because you know peppermint just like you feel like that commercial where they end up in the mountains of snow, like, and so it will help open things up. And as you steam, the good thing is if as you're steaming, your nose starts to run, that's fine. Like take your face out and like wipe it or blow your nose or whatever. But you'll see the benefits right away because your face is forward like this, and so it will start. The water vapor will help break it up, and it will start. I mean, obviously, you have things that are more immediate, like the neti pot, which a lot of people love, that you can do. But I would say, if you're struggling with that, I would say make sure you're steaming Saturday night with the essential oil, or Vicks or whatever you want to use, in order to get that kind of breaking up and draining as you sleep. And then in the morning, you can always steam as well. A couple worship leaders are enjoying working out in the morning, but I will not be doing that. at 6 in the morning, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But working out it gets the blood flowing, and it also helps release some tension in the body. And since the voice is in the body, you get a freer, more relaxed voice as well. So steaming, that's the same thing of the body being hot, and we're just like, then we go take a hot shower. You can also get steam from the shower. Sometimes people just don't take a hot enough shower. And you also don't want to run up your water bill for 20 minutes. So just the little thing is, it's like, it'll save your water bill. Yeah.
So the steaming and the strawing, that process should only take altogether about 10 minutes, or is
the straw will take 10, the steaming will take about 15 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah. And obviously, if you can get 10 minutes in and then you have to run, like some steaming is better than no steaming, but I noticed a difference in my vocal folds not until at least 10 minutes into steaming, where it starts to feel like things are really getting hydrated and softening. I think the first 10 minutes, it's like it's just trying to like soak in because they're so like dehydrated.
Can you get too much steam?
No, you're not gonna drown yourself.
No, the only reason I'm asking, I mean, when I have a cold or have sinus problems, I get the old vaporizer out and put the Vicks in it.
That's what it is. Yeah, that's all it is. It's
But
a
if you
Vicks
did it
flavor.
without the Vicks, it's pure steam, right?
Yeah, it's just steam.
So it's the same as,
It's the same thing.
yeah, okay.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Some
You
of,
just stick your face in it.
some of us here has bee spray.
And what?
Bee spray.
Stop.
It's called
Jim.
bug spray.
Can I mention one more and ask your
Sorry.
opinion? Coffee? Sunday mornings. Rebecca already went over this with us, but,
What was it? What was it?
coffee,
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
about the dehydration.
It's a back and forth thing we talked about before.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not to like upset anybody, but you can have whatever you want. So maybe make your day. Research is showing that coffee's not actually that much more dehydrating now, but for a long time they believed it was, so that's what's taught. So then like we're all passing it down. We're like, they say no coffee, so no coffee, you know? It's the same thing that they say don't have dairy. You can have dairy! Well, but you can't have dairy if it affects your vocal folds. If it gives you phlegm when you eat ice cream, then don't. I ate a cup of ice cream before every voice lesson in college because they had Ben and Jerry's and it was all you can eat. And I was just like, I was scooping. Like my freshman 15 came quick because I already paid my bill. Like it's in the thing. And every week I would go to voice lessons and people would be like, how in the world? Like I could never. And I'm just like, listen, Sally, like, it's okay, you know? Because for me, it didn't affect me. However, if it affects you, don't do it. If you have acid reflux, don't do it. Like, don't eat spicy foods. If you can't have cheese or dairy before you sing, don't do it. If coffee feels like, now if you haven't hydrated in 7 days with normal water, then yes, you're gonna be dehydrated, but that's with anything. Like if you're drinking pop all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the South, they say soda, they make fun of us Northerners, but it's like, if it doesn't bother you, you can have it. Everything's in moderation, right? Like the same thing that we're talking about, like don't take good things and make them bad, like they can easily become bad. And so it's like, okay, if I'm never hydrating, coffee, like I'm probably dehydrated as a human, but it's not just that one cup of coffee that did it for me. But sometimes caffeine affects vocal folds for people, or they get too jittery, or makes them more anxious, and so that plays into more of like the anxiety piece of it and their heart rate beating. But you know, it's individual. If it doesn't bother you, like enjoy your coffee. I probably sometimes I forget I love Jesus before 9 a.m. And so if I have to come to rehearsal and leave rehearsal with no coffee and I'm still waking up, I mean,
It's gonna be bad.
right. So
Right.
it's like I'm loving you well and I'm loving us well. And so it just depends. It really depends. But I'm not a one size fits all for that. There are very definitive things, obviously, like biblically and things that we have to be very black and white on. But research is saying that it's really not that dehydrating in comparison to water. Obviously, water's better, but it's not gonna ruin your day.
Oh, that makes you happy, Kayla?
That makes me so happy.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna have two. She's gonna be like,
Not that I was gonna give up my coffee on Sunday morning, cause it would be a bad
Oh, no.
situation. Glenn would probably have a fit with me.
yeah. So I think it just depends, it just depends. So,
Oh, geez.
okay, so as we kind of, I spend a lot of time on vocal health because this is the most important thing that I think a lot of us, even our vocal health, guidance that we got is now research has said is not actually true anymore. And so then we're like, we're stuck to these like old things, but we don't know. So if we don't know, then why would we believe anything different? So we stick to that because if the voice is not well, these other things that we're going to talk about don't matter. Okay, so here's the truth: slow and steady wins the race. It's not a competition. Our bodies are always changing, and so our voice is going to change. You have to be willing to show yourself grace on a day that your body's not 100%. We as vocalists are really hard on ourselves, and we're like, my body's not 100%, but my voice should be. Add it up. It doesn't math. The math ain't mathin'. So modifying is not a failure. Sometimes we think if we need to modify a pitch down, that it like speaks to our value, and it doesn't. It's okay to move at a different pace than the person sitting next to you. All your favorite singers have to be responsible with their voices. You just don't see it. You see them on the platform, you see the final product, you don't see the journey. So watch for that, and then, but that's with anything on social media. And then growth is not linear. You're gonna have days where you feel like, I'm getting it, and the next day you're gonna feel like, why do I even sing? It happens. I see every day. Okay? So now we're gonna buzz through a cajillion things, not really. So range, how do we get more range? Stretching what?
Our vocal range, I don't know.
Oh,
Our, oh gosh, I don't know. Mouth, number one.
Okay. When we're going higher, what is stretching?
Diaphragm.
Our chords, our vocals.
Our vocal folds. Yeah. Our vocal folds. And so what exercise stretches the vocal folds?
Neck.
The straw.
The straw. So if you're trying to engage in if you're trying to expand your range and you're like, I'm an alto, I do not go up there. You do.
That's me.
You probably do. Because, and how you'll know is if you did a siren and you went, ooh, you might be more comfortable in the low, but it doesn't mean that you can't do those things up there because the siren just told on you. Yeah? So, contrary to popular belief, right? And so, even if it feels safer down here, oftentimes it's just because we haven't worked in that uncomfortable space long enough. So if we're soprano, we're always singing high, sometimes our low notes might not feel great. And we're like, it doesn't feel supported, I don't understand. And so it's easy to box ourselves in based on comfort, but nothing with the Lord is comfortable. He never promises comfort. And he's always pushing us into the uncomfortable places because it requires us to trust him. It requires us, and we grow the most when we're uncomfortable. And so our culture teaches comfort. But in stretching, it's like, I don't want you to box yourself in because the Lord might want something from you vocally that you're like, I don't have that though. And it's like, not yet. But you do have it. You just haven't cultivated it to feel as though it's stable enough or consistent enough to be able to share. Yeah? And so that would be the goal. So if you can do the siren and you hit those notes, you have those notes. Whether they feel comfortable once you take the straw out, that's different, and that's where vocal coaching comes in. So we can meet you tangibly, individually on what you need and what might be getting in the way. So stretching with the regular straw. Stretching with the regular straw. You can do sirens every day, all day. You're gonna allow it to rest into the lowest note, and then you're gonna stretch it all the way to the highest note, keeping the vowels consistent, and then come back down. Doing that and constantly like just teetering, it will extend. I mean, think about how people become flexible. You don't stretch one time and you're like, oh, I'm a gymnast. Call me Simone Biles. Like, it's like, no, like the splits take months of sitting in that position for minutes. Like, back in my day, I did, but not anymore. And if you asked me, I would have to stretch the muscle enough and sit in the uncomfort and the discomfort for a long enough period to learn what I needed to learn. See how this ties into spiritual? I did a whole series on Soul in the Song series, and it is amazing, the parallels between the soul and the song. The surrender that is required in singing, etc. There's so many things. It's not on my list for tonight, but it is fascinating. But the stretching is really important, and we have to think of tangible things, because sometimes we have different expectations for the voice, but it's still a muscle. So if I'm trying to do my splits, so you can be stretching your vocal folds and your splits at the same time and see which one arrives first, okay? All right, vocal fry is helpful in the lower register, so everyone go, You might feel like you have a lot of breath. Exhale a lot of it. Is it hard? Was it hurt? No. Vocal fry gets a bad rap. It's like, don't do that to your vocal folds. It's so bad. It's like, no, it's fine. It's like everything done in moderation. If I'm like this all the time and then I'm speaking and it's just like that. Like, you don't want to do that. But if I can just for 30 seconds sit and let the larynx release, some people say it helps them with their lower register. I personally don't feel like it has done anything major. I think the straw is the most beneficial thing. It's my holy grail thing that I told you about. But there's been a lot of people that have said that vocal fry really helps them with the low register. Because it's really, ultimately, vocal fry is teaching you how to relax your larynx, because you can't have any tension. There's not a lot of pressure. Essentially what the vocal folds are doing is they're just rubbing together inconsistently, which is why you don't have a clear pitch. Okay? And then repetition. How I talked about, you have to go to the vocal gym multiple times. If I go to the gym and expect to be skinny tomorrow, it's like, I wish. That would be amazing. Like 50 pounds gone. That would be amazing, but that's not how this works. And it's the same thing with strength training. That's why people train months and months and months in advance for any type of competition. So repetition is going to be important. I'd rather you do 10 minutes a day, 4 times a week, than try to wait a month and then do an hour of straw formation. It's not helpful. It's the same idea where we do a little workout and then we rest 30 seconds and then we lift our do set, rest, lift, rest. And then we allow ourselves time to recover and then we go back to the vocal gym. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's range. Any questions on range? Told you that one was going to be fast. Okay, vocal power. Vocal power. How do you access vocal power? Like if you're trying to be louder and bigger and beltier, what do you feel like engages, or what happens, or how do you approach it?
Comes from the belly.
The belly, okay?
Maybe specifically like drop my jaw. Drop my jaw.
Drop your jaw
Yeah.
to go louder.
Not louder, but like, I don't know.
Does it help you belt?
That's where I hold my tension.
Like, you have to bring your tongue up. You can't I don't know, have it sit back. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay. When you're belting and doing more powerful loud singing, anybody else what it feels like?
I think it has to be in the right key for me.
Okay.
That has a lot to do with it, I
Because I
think,
can't
for me.
sing
Yeah.
really, I can't put forth a lot of whatever if it's not in a comfortable key.
Can't project.
What is it?
Says you can't project as well if it's not in the best key for you. Maybe that's what I would say, more projection. But belting, for at least from my opinion, belting, I'm giving it a good little punch. I mean, that's kind of the way that I have done it. I don't know what your technical terms are, but yeah.
Is it like wind?
Yeah.
Like the wind that comes out or anything?
Oh, the breath.
Yeah, the breath.
Well, let's talk about it, because the tendency when we sing louder, is it to use more air? Do we use more air quantity when we're going higher? When we go bigger and beltier, do we need more air?
I don't think so.
Now that you're saying it like that, probably not.
But when we go to sing a high
need
note,
more
do we brace
space.
ourselves? Do we go,
I need more space.
okay? So,
Yeah.
and what we were taught, if you've ever been in choir, or if you just grew up in the church, everyone said, as you sing higher, you need more air, you need more air, you need more air. But essentially, if my vocal folds are, being pulled tighter as I get higher, I didn't bring my balloons, did I, Catalina? Okay, so when my vocal folds get tighter, do you have ponytail? Can I use your ponytail holder? Yeah. You're the real MVP right here. Okay, so vocal folds are like this. When my notes are low, they're low and they're floppy, which is why it requires a lot of relaxation. But because they're low and floppy, think of like a balloon when you just let it go. So you engage, right? There's a lot of air releasing at the same time. However, the valve is not tight. So those are gonna be our low notes. So we're gonna use more air. As we go higher, it pulls tighter. What happens to the balloon when you start pulling on it and there's air? What does it do in pitch?
Higher.
It goes up.
Tightens
It's like,
up.
right?
Mhm.
That's what our vocal folds do. So as we go higher, we're thinking longer and thinner and tighter. If they're tighter, then can more air get through? No. But what has to happen to the breath in order to get through? It has to do what?
Relax.
Release. What is it? But how do I get through if they're so tight? The breath has to do what?
I release a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, it has to move quicker.
Yeah.
It has to increase velocity because it has to get through. So it's like, think a hose versus a water flosser. Little bit of water being used, that thing lasts like 10 minutes and it's only this much. And it's, that thing will cut your gums up.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because the velocity is high, but the breath quantity is low. So, bracing ourselves and taking big breaths right before we sing big belty stuff does not necessarily help us. It's actually going to hinder us and create too much sub-glottal pressure. If you ever go up to a belty note and you feel up underneath as you're singing, it kind of feels like something's like stuck right there. That means there's too much breath pressure. There's too much quantity just like sitting. And that's where vocal cracks happen the moment you have a consonant that's unvoiced. So that's a misconception, and that's what I always want to start with is misconceptions. The other thing is the diaphragm. Anytime someone says breathe with your diaphragm, you cannot choose that. It's part of the breathing mechanism. So you can't actually sing from your diaphragm. It's always being used, even as I'm breathing now. And so even in that, the diaphragm is part of the breathing system and it has no nerve endings. So even if you were to stick a needle in it, you wouldn't be able to feel it. So this idea that we were told like to voluntarily choose it, I'm like, I think of choosing it. Like we wouldn't know. There was no way we would know. And so we actually are thinking more of abdomen, not we're thinking of abdomen support or not thinking of diaphragm. You always use your diaphragm. You cannot choose. And so now let's do this. Let's move to the front of your chairs. I want you to sit on the very front of your chair. I'm gonna grab one actually. Can I grab this one? Is that okay?
You're good.
Okay. All right. Wow, up close and personal. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna sit at the very end, and the goal is to feel your butt bones, because sometimes we are like this. If we're like age 40 and under, we're most likely like this, just because that's what we do. But over time, if we have bad posture, your pelvis might tuck under. Okay, so you want to find right where you feel the butt bones going into the chair. Everyone feel neutral with their pelvis. Okay, so with that, what we're gonna do is I just want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're gonna count to 10 and just notice what it feels like. Try. 1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Great. Now, what we're gonna do is where we're at, we're keeping the neck straight. We're gonna slightly go back just until we feel a little bit of ab engagement. This is not a like whole workout to see who can hold it and who's most fit here, okay? This is not it, okay? So just slightly enough to where you feel some engagement. Now exhale all your air. Let your hands relax. There you go. You see everyone was tense? We're like, this is what happens when we go to sing a high note. We are like, other muscles wants to come in to help because our bodies don't know the difference between bracing ourselves to pick up something heavy or blocking if someone's about to run into us or a kid's like running full throttle. We're like, whoop, you know? And so that's the same thing that we go to sing and we're like, freedom, be free. And it's like, how? How do I do that, right? So I'm slightly going back. I'm keeping my butt bones here. I'm relaxing my hands and everything. Now count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good. Did we get some support? No support? Did it feel the same? Did it feel different?
I feel the same.
Good. So where are we living? We're living in the low, which is where we speak. Do we need full abdomen engagement in the low?
No.
Okay, so now we're going to, everyone relax, be where you're at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, now abdomen, lean back, engage, release the breath. Make sure the abdomen is engaging. Now count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Did we get more sound?
Okay.
I think so.
Did we get more sound as a group?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So that means individually we had to get more sound, right? It doesn't
Right.
just like the Holy Spirit multiplied. Did it make you work harder here?
Yeah.
No, I just
No.
my
It's like, wait, no, wait, hold on, that's not math thing. I did the same exact thing, but one had more power. So there's that. In the abdomen, notice what it feels like, that it doesn't feel like a lot of people push their abdomen in. They go, and they're pushing the air out, pushing the sound out. Well, that's just increasing how much air is on your vocal folds. So in this, when we lean back, we're feeling, it kind of feels like it's right where it is. It doesn't feel like I'm pushing my stomach out or I'm sucking in. I'm allowing it to exist where the abdomen is and it's supporting, therefore not putting pressure towards the vocal folds. Does that make sense? This will take time for you to feel comfortable doing it while standing because it's kind of hard, like how do I feel this without just like, because it needs to feel passive. Zzz, I feel this engagement while I'm releasing all of my breath. Okay, so that's one way. As you're singing your songs at home, you can sing them on the edge of your chair. Your families might look at you like you're crazy. Slightly here. If you go too far back to where it starts to lock, you're too far back. Okay, you have to be able to feel the engagement while fully relaxing, shoulders, neck, everything, and exhaling the breath. Does that make sense? Great. So if you see Rebecca start leaning back as she's playing keys, you're gonna know that she's cheating. Okay. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I want let's stand up just to make it a little interactive here. We'll interact. Okay. Can everyone say, let's say, just like a casual, hey!
Hey!
Okay, notice what it feels like. Do it again.
Hey!
Did you use a lot of quantity of air?
No.
Did you take a huge inhale?
No.
Good. Was the sound big? Did
Decently.
it feel okay?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. You can belt. You were all belters. Okay. So now, it's as simple as that, right? Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine, how many of you have kids here? Or grandkids or, okay? How many of you have ever carried the groceries into the house? Everybody. Okay, here we go. So, it's universal. Okay, so when you're carrying something heavy, I want you to feel as though the shoulders are pressing down into the floor. But now you're breathing. So if you're holding your breath, exhale. Breathe normally. You feel the shoulders engaging? Great. Now, keep them engaged. Breath is moving freely now. I should say, hey.
Hey.
Did we get more sound or less sound?
Less.
More.
Less.
I got more.
You got less?
Yeah, I felt like it.
Felt like it. Okay, how many of you felt like it was easier to do the hey?
It was easier.
Easier. How many of you felt like you got more sound?
I got more.
I think I a little bit.
More sound?
Yeah, but I don't know
Now,
why.
let's do this. This is what's fun. This is my favorite part. Okay, you're going to send your hey to me. So you're gonna just send it to where I'm at. So, hey.
Hey.
Engage shoulders. Great. Now send it up and over to me.
Hey.
Great. Engage.
Hey.
How many of you feel like that is too much pressure and it hurts?
Very good.
The good thing is that your microphone's right here, right? But if I can extend, there is that surrender of, hey! It's not hard here because the larger muscles are supporting. Your vocal folds are this big. Ladies, your vocal folds are the size of an almond. Gentlemen, your vocal folds are the size of a walnut. Okay? Your whole larynx is the size of a walnut, I'm sorry. And so if they're these little baby guys and we're like trying to like belt, if we don't allow these larger muscles that are just sitting here, if we don't allow them to anchor, it's called anchoring. This is torso anchoring. There's also a thing as neck anchoring, right? And if we're not allowing the bigger muscles to like actually support as we go higher, then we're really putting way too much work here. It doesn't mean that singing should be zero work. It just means that the work is not here. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
A lot of people say, well, we'll just relax. We'll just relax. Okay, relax what? Because if I relax something here, something else has to work. Because that's why it's not relaxed here, is because something else is not doing its job.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's how I want you to be accessing your vocal power, is like, are there ways that I can engage that's going to be helpful, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did, this is perfect, okay. I want you to, you have to spread out. I want you to go to your natural worship posture. What is your worship posture? Whether it's here, whether it's here,
I'm usually
whether
sitting
it's
down.
here, whether it's here, whether it's here. I mean, whatever your worship posture is, I want
I'm
you
like,
to
I
do it. I
hate
want
that
you
I'm
to go.
sitting down. I want to be standing, but
Well,
Yeah.
it depends on what song it is and what.
Yeah.
that's what I'm usually doing.
and
One of
how
these.
for you.
I'm usually
Yeah.
moving all around there.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're going
hold
around.
your worship posture, whatever it is,
With a mic.
with a mic. Okay,
Here's my right hand. There we go.
wherever you're at, now engage the shoulders down. Can you move your hand without it releasing the shoulder? Whether it's up or down or whatever, can you engage the shoulders and can you be free to worship?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Does this look natural still? Can you tell I'm engaging my shoulders?
I know.
No, you cannot. Notice how you could be belting and you could be killing it up here for the glory of God. And you could be doing a great job up here in supporting and using your big muscles without forfeiting your authentic worship.
Amen.
Because no one is gonna, like, I'm not here to tell you what your worship needs to look like. I'm here to say, you're already worshiping, so why don't you just go ahead and allow the worship postures to aid and help you so that you can then do this thing better. You can be more surrendered to the Holy Spirit because the control was taken somewhere else. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And so when we start to get too much here, then the surrender is gone because there's blockage.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's surrender in singing and there's surrender in worship. And so both have to go. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was our next topic, is postures. And so on Sunday morning, I want you to, as the song, you don't need to be engaging at a 10 out of 10 all the time. You don't need to be standing there, you haven't even started yet. You're like practicing. But you have to allow, like, when the song starts to build and it starts to feel like too much effort, it doesn't feel balanced anymore. Okay, we're starting to go higher, I'm starting to belt, I'm starting to break it apart, or I was asking for more power here and I can't get it on my own. I need help. Hello, friend. I'm still worshiping free the whole time,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, no matter what, you can utilize that. Okay, great. We just talked about that, and then the last thing that we have is microphones. I want you to use your straw and show me how you. Oh, you guys have no. You always have you have microphones. I actually want you to use your microphone. Here's one. You can use it for now. That's fine. I'm not using it. This is pastors. It's sacred.
No.
You're gonna sound real good. Okay. All right. I want you to hold your microphone the way you hold it while you sing. And you have to be honest, all right?
Mine's always on a stand, so you know.
Okay? How you sing into this microphone affects how you sound out here and how you sing. No one teaches you how to hold a microphone. And you're like, there's not science to this, Cierra. And you're right, there's not. But I will say that there is some sort of science I haven't figured out yet as to why the angle of your microphone affects how you sing. You can sit, sorry, you can sit.
Wow.
So, I don't have this like grand science to you, but I have personal experience with it, and everyone who has done this in my studio, it affects how they sing. When you have a microphone that is, the way that it's received and how you're going to get your best sound is straight on, as if you're singing to this end, not this. When I go to the angle, you're going to get a thinner sound, so if you're going for power, it's not going to access all the things all the colors of your voice. You really, really, really want the head of the microphone with your upper lip, not between. So a lot of people hold it here or below, or down here. I want it with your upper lip. So what would that feel like if it's almost to your nose? It's not actually to your nose, but do you feel how that kind of feels high? It feels scary. It's also because we can't hide. Like if we're trying to kind of sort of sing, but like maybe kind of sort of, like this is where we go. It's like I like want to be heard, but like kind of not. Like it's like the angle happens. And so this also encourages us to like know our parts and sing confidently, right? So in this, you're gonna go front, the top lip, and then you're actually singing to this end. You're singing through the microphone. You're not singing to the microphone. A lot of times we sing right here, we're like, do the work, let's do it, you know? But whenever I feed it is what gets multiplied. So whatever I'm giving gets multiplied. So if I'm giving this, like, I'm like, then that's just like, you hear the breathiness, well then the breath is multiplied. The thin folds are multiplied. It doesn't actually add what I want. So this is where we go to what feels good here, and then we send it through the microphone instead of to the microphone. But then our focal point is here. As we go beltier, as we go higher, and it starts to feel like we need to engage a little bit, you're now sending your sound above the microphone. So now you're playing taking off, and you're sending it here instead of straight through. Notice how there's no focal point here down. If you take it with you, it goes with you. If you go down, it goes down. If you go up, it goes up. Do we see? This is like band practice. Okay? If you play the trumpet, it goes with you. Okay? So that's what keeps it natural. This looks natural. If I'm walking a stage, it's weird for me to be like something weird. It's weird. Take it with you wherever you go. And if it's here, if we go down, you just take it with you. Okay? It's right with your upper lip. If you struggle with germs, bring some Clorox wipes, but I want the microphone touching your upper lip. That's vulnerable and scary for some of us. And you might have to adjust your monitors once everyone starts bringing it to their upper lip. It might just be like, whoo. And if it makes you uncomfortable because it's too much of your own voice, the solution is not to pull the microphone away. It's to go here and have them adjust your levels there. Because you're going to get more feedback if singers are out here and the audio engineer is trying to turn them up, and then he's turning all the mics up because everyone's singing here and getting an indirect signal at an angle. If he gets a direct signal, you're gonna have less feedback. Then you can just pull yourself down to the monitor a little bit. But it also holds you accountable to sing out. So then if I can hear myself well here, if I start to go back to my old ways, then I can't hear myself, and it's like, oh, well, in order to hear myself, I guess I gotta put the microphone back. And so that's gonna be really important. So touching upper lip in line with front teeth, singing to the other end of the mic, And then as things get harder, I'm actually allowing them to elevate and send over the microphone. I cannot tell you how amazing it makes the voice soar and sound when we allow that intentionality to happen. I honestly think that intentionality creates a focal point where the soft palate or the roof of the mouth lifts, and that's required in belting. And a lot of times it can get droopy to where half the sound starts coming out the nose. And then it creates too much pressure to where that's why we have to flip into head voice. And we're like, I can't, it's too much pressure. Yes. And we just like stay there. Instead of really feeling that lift, that inner smile, which is things we work on in the studio. But it's like, if you just change your send, your intention, as you send, it kind of fixes itself, and you don't have to think so much about like, where's my soft palate, you know? Okay. I know that was a lot. Yeah.
Good.
How's everyone doing? Are we okay?
Yes.
Are we thriving? Are we merely surviving? Or that is a lot to digest, and you're not gonna be able to do everything at one time. If you can steam sometime this week, or even just purchase a steamer, you can have it forever. I've had mine for years and years and years. You just keep filling up with water. It's like a long-term investment. It used to be $25 when I got it. Now it's $65. I'm sorry. But inflation, and once you get it, you can use it when you're sick. Everybody can use it when they're sick. It does have the little spots for the Vicks vapor. Those things, though, will take you out. Those things are so strong. I thought I couldn't breathe for a second. I said they work, though. So any questions on anything that we did tonight? Any questions on anything I said? I might have said some things that like debunk some deep-rooted beliefs, and I promise I'm not here to offend anybody. But I'd rather you succeed knowing the updated stuff, because it's always changing. We're just learning more, yeah?
A lot of helpful stuff.
Yeah.
I love it.
Any
Great.
questions before I see you next time?
Are you gonna bring anything to drink next time?
I'm gonna bring warm water just for you. I'm gonna bring warm water again. Thank you guys so much for staying late. I know that this is like late. Like I just got off of teaching, and I've been teaching since 2 today, and so before that we were even teaching or working. So our next session we're gonna be talking about some stylistic elements. We're actually gonna sing next time. Do you want to keep the song we talked about?
It's which one was it again?
Praise?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna sing next time. Can't wait to hear you. We're gonna talk about some stylistic elements and things we can do. We're gonna talk about leading versus following, finding harmonies, and then ad-libbing. So that's kind of what we're gonna cover.
When is our next one?
September 5th?
Yes, September. Yeah.
September 5th. So in 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
So like,
What's that living?
You're gonna be
Find out. I guess you gotta come.
Okay.
I guess you gotta show up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you guys have any questions, Lydia has my number, Rebecca has my number, but also just be back on the 5th. So write them down. I'd love to help you. I'm here to like just serve you guys in what you need. And like I said, I'm right down the street. There is a connection. There's a QR code on the computer if you're interested in like scanning and connecting if you're on Instagram. There's also connections to Facebook, the website, and just like kind of seeing what we're doing here. If you're like, who's this crazy lady? And you want to learn more, there's the website link. But then there's also the Amazon link to get a steamer if you don't have one. If you're in a space to do that.
so it's like boiling a pot of water works too.
Huh?
Boiling a pot of water.
You can boil a pot of water too, or you can run up your water bill. And so you get to choose. Merry
You
Christmas.
go to Planet Fitness and take a really hot shower and turn that steam on.
You can, because you don't pay that water bill. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Utilize. That's called using your resources. Yeah, I like it. I think I like it. Okay, any questions before next time?
Oh, but I'm
Think of
excited too.
anything.
I'm excited.
I might have some, but not today. I'll think about it.
Yeah, no,
After,
that's
yeah.
fine. Yeah, and you guys can bring them on
Yeah.
the 5th, and we can just, I mean, I don't know everything, but if I know it, I'll tell you. And if I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I'll figure it out. Yeah? And if I don't, then we'll just be waiting for new research to come out and tell us that it's wrong or right. Okay, all right, well, can I pray for us? And then,
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
God, thank you for who you are. are. Thank you for each soul in this room. Oh, how beautiful of a time this is. Lord, you have intricately created each human in this room for such a time as this, for this, with this gift and this purpose. And God, we never want to take it for granted. We're just so thankful that you choose us to do this with you, to be part of the kingdom work. Because God, you didn't need us. You didn't actually, like, you could have done all of this, but you chose. You chose to invite us in and say, come and be part of the growing of my kingdom. And so God, we're so thankful. And God, help us and convict us on where we need to cultivate this gift better. It's uncomfortable and it can be messy, but God, help us be bold and be available for what you want to do. And not get so caught up in one thing or the other, but that we are intentionally doing the work off the platform so that you can come and move and you can come and do what you want to do in these services, because the world needs you, and we just want to be vessels for your kingdom. And so thanks for inviting us to be part of this, and I pray a hedge of protection over everyone here, and just thank you for the ways that you're going to work through this new season. We just thank you in advance. And we just love you, Lord. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right.